南无本师释迦牟尼佛。南无本师释迦牟尼佛。南无本师释迦牟尼佛。We pay homage to our respected teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha. Good. I hope everybody is well. And so this is the chit-chat. Let's see for again. So there are quite a few questions today. I think there are 6 questions. So let us look at the one that I wasn't able to answer last time, or we didn't have enough time to discuss this one. And this one is that I have been trying to stay aware of my aggregates but not attached to them. However, there has never been a meditation where I actually feel detached. I think this may be because I fear losing my mind consciousness. How should I approach this fear? So this is talking about meditation, mainly from meditation. But the next part actually is connected to this one. So it says the next part. Let us look at the next part. Currently, I tell myself that it is not the goal to go deeper into concentration to get the benefit of reviewing the Buddha nature, but I'm not sure that is really true. Deeper concentration is better, right? So thank you for helping me with this confusion. I don't know whether you're confused or not, but definitely you're trying to look for something. I don't know how you actually observe your aggregates, because observing the aggregates, there is always a gateway to observe something, especially with the mind. There is a gateway connected to that particular aggregate, because you cannot just observe the perception, or you cannot just observe the feeling part unless you have a gateway to observe it. Like when you're observing we all know what are the 5 aggregates, right? You all know, right? The form, the Vedana, that means the sensations, and the Sanya, that means the perception, and the Sankhara, that means the mental volition, and then the last part is the consciousness. So these are the 5 aggregates. But like when you want to observe the form aggregate, you need to use the body to observe it, because the body, this is the body form, and this is the physical. I mean, this is the aggregate of this mouse. Oops, sorry, gone wrong. So this is the aggregate of this mouse. The form aggregate of this mouse is sort of like this shape. So you have to have a tool. You have to have a gateway. You have to have a door for you to. You have to have something for you to actually observe that aggregate. So, for example, I'm giving you an example of how to actually observe the 5 aggregates in a breath, with a breath. Okay, so the way you know that it is an incoming breath, you're actually feeling the breath going in, that's inhalation and exhalation. So that is the first part, the first physical part. So, and then the feeling part, you feel the cold air going in, the warm air coming out. So the warm air, the cold air is the gateway for you to actually observe the Vedana, the feeling part. You get what I mean? Right? Then what about the Sanya, the perception part? The perception part is, oh, yes, this is an incoming breath, this is an outgoing breath, and this breath is going through the right nostril, this breath is going through the left nostril. So you're experiencing that. Okay, so that's the sanya, the perception part. Then what is the sankhara part? The sankhara part is mental volition. There is an intention in the mind is, okay, after this breath, I need to go and I need to continue to observe the next breath. There is a volition to observe the next breath. Whether you are successful or not, it is another matter. But you have that volition to observe the next breath when it comes along. So when it comes along, then you observe it. Then that is your mental volition in play. And then the consciousness, the last part, actually embraces or includes all the four aggregates in front. Before that. So that's how you observe aggregates with the mindfulness of breath. It's kind of very difficult, You only sort of like intellectually know about that. Are you able to really observe the aggregate? No, it's very difficult unless you're so fluent, you're so mature in observing all these five aggregates, one after another, and it just spontaneous mindfulness of, oh yes, sanya is in play. You don't really actually need to tell yourself that sanya is in play. You act then, because you become so attuned to observing the breath, or for example, observing the feelings when the breath happens. And that is the Vedana part of the mind, the feeling part of the mind is working. Then sometimes people sort of dive into that, just in that, and just keep watching it, keep feeling it, until they get a hold onto it. And then when they it becomes so natural that they know, yes, once I start to feel the sensation, I feel it's the Vedana part of the mind working. Okay, it's because you become like eating, right? Or like using chopsticks. In the beginning, the chopsticks doesn't work, and it's flying all over the place, or fingers sticking all over the place. But eventually, when you get better and better, you just pick up the chopstick and you are able to get hold of the food. So I really don't know how you stay aware of your aggregates, but if you are able to just observe like that, unless you actually starting to crave for certain aggregate, then there is a very strong possibility that your attachment is could be quite minimal. Because why? You see that it happens like this, and it comes, goes, like this so fast. I said, what's the point of attaching to it? Right? It just comes and disappears. So it's no point of attaching to it. You like continuously disappointing yourself because you're attaching to something that's so fleeting. So then you have that awareness. You will start to have that awareness, saying, "Okay, come on, let's go. Let's sort of like, detach from it and start to stay just on top of things and just observe it in a very objective way." So there has never been a meditation where I actually feel detached. Because why? Because I think you started off wanting something from the meditation. So that's why there is, or wanting to be detached is also a wanting. Okay, so I don't know what kind of greed is in there, or what are you craving for. So I think you need to be very honest with yourself and sit down and be just try your best. Don't push yourself too hard for the whole hour. I'm not going to have any wandering thought, or I'm going to feel detached. No, just sit there and just Just allow yourself to sink into the meditation and just observe how this mind is working up. And I think you probably have your answer there, because you say, I think this may be because I fear losing my mind consciousness. Why? Why do you have that fear? Why do you have that fear? Because why? I guess people fearful of losing their mind consciousness, or people of emptiness, that after I die, there's nothing else. Because why? The attachment to this self is so strong. To this ego is so strong. So that's why people are so afraid of losing me and I and mine. So I think you need to be very honestly sit there and look at yourself and ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Why am I so scared? And the only person who can find out the answer is yourself. And how should you approach this fear? I think I remember I talked about emotion last month. Is remember in the 16 steps, this emotion is chitta sankhara. It's the mental activities. So how are you going to sync? How are you going to sync those mental activities? Just keep watching it, and try not to label them, not to judge them, not to identify with them, and then allow them to sink. So for those who have actually attended the 16 steps, you remember that, right? I tell you to allow it to sink, and let it ground. Let it ground. If you don't attach to it, if you don't identify it, if you don't label it, if you don't judge it, it's got no strength to stay on. Okay, I mean, yeah, I take I take a whole minutes to explain to you how to let it sink, but when during meditation, when this thing just arises, and you just know, like this, and then you just be mindful of it, rather than, I like you, and I hate you, and I dislike you, and what are you doing here, and all these things. You're not doing that. You're just watching it. Just like watching a movie is really none of your business. And it's just watching it. And then it will just sink away. But I remind you, it will come back again. It will constantly come back until it gets weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. Then, when it completely fades away, you deal with one thing. And then the next thing will come up again. And you deal with it. Okay? So I hope I have answered this comment. And then the next one is, currently I tell myself that it is not the goal to go deeper into concentration to get the benefit of reviewing the Buddha nature. But remember what the Buddha has taught us. The three foundations, the very, very important three practices, 3 tiers of practice. The first tier is morality, the sila. And the second tier is sila, samadhi. And then the final tier is panya, wisdom. So you know this. Why would the Buddha say this? Why would the samadhi be on the second tier? So that means without this samadhi, you're not going to get into you're not going to advance to the third tier, where you actually allow this inner wisdom to reveal itself. So that means concentration, samadhi, concentration, focus, and clear head, and sharp, one-pointedness, awareness is important. So of course, when we meditate, we would say, we wouldn't say, I'm going to go into the samadhi now, or I'm going to go into samadhi, this meditation. You can never go into samadhi just by telling yourself to go into samadhi, right? You need to develop that focus. You need to actually calm and train and tame that mind in order for the mind to be still for 1 minute, or for like a couple of moments, and then a few more moments, and then a few more seconds, and then a few more minutes. Right? So this is not telling yourself that or I don't need to go deep, or I need to go deep. No, it comes with a practice. So that, but I tell you, that concentration, that deep concentration is samadhi. And samadhi is crucial. It's a milestone to the next stage. So remember, when the Buddha was little, he was sitting, watching a plowing event with his father, and he went into this deep samadhi with just observation of the breath. And after he grew up, and after he went into the ascetic life for 6 years, and he came out, and then he sat under a sala tree, and then he was practicing. He went into deep jhana, deep jhana. But still, he noticed that he couldn't find this way out of sufferings. And this experience of his childhood in deep samadhi actually came into his mind. He said, yes, this is the right way to practice. So he actually came back from his deep jhana, from the 8th and 9th jhana, come back to the 4th jhana, and he just went into that samadhi. And that was when he actually became enlightened and became a Sammasambuddha. So you can see concentration is crucial. Okay? So, of course, reviewing the Buddha nature is the final goal. Just like looking at the moon. If my finger is pointing to the moon, you don't look at my finger. You look at the moon. But you need this finger. You need this finger as a path to point you to the path. So the path is very important, but you don't need to look at the goal. The goal is already set in there. When you take the Buddha's teachings in, you say, oh, well, I'm going to be a Buddha one day. It doesn't matter how many years of life to come, right? It doesn't matter. But that's the goal. But you don't just look at the goal all the time, because it's not going to get you anywhere. The most important thing is you take one step at a time. Each step, you're one step closer to the goal. So we need to do that. So deeper concentration is better, right? Deeper concentration is not better. Deeper concentration is necessary. It's crucial. But it's not a wishful thinking. You cannot get deeper concentration by just wishing for. And you need to let go. Why can't we go into deeper concentration? Because the mind and a confused and unsteady, unstable mind is all boggled. Is that boggled? Scattered? No, all filled with all these thoughts, like all being drowned with so many things. That's why it's not concentrated. It's being distracted all the time. Right? Or being drowned. So how can it be concentrated? When you start to let go of things, one thought gone, one thought gone, one thought gone, one thought gone. Then you get lighter, and you get this momentary clarity. And that's how it starts. 1 moment become 2, 2 become 3, and so on and so forth. So that is the right path to pursue. All right? Anybody have any comment about this? No? No? All right? Okay. No comment, then we end this question here. So question 2. Okay? So it says, is Chan Buddhism, Chan Buddhism, Mahayana, are they the same thing or same but different? This is a teacher's question. A teacher asked this question, or a retired teacher asked this question. Okay, so actually the Chan Buddhism, the proper way to write the Chan is CH''AN. Yeah, okay, so that is, I should have corrected it, but never mind. So, or apostrophe, or on top of the A there is a sort of like an apostrophe. Huh? Huh? It's called stress. Okay, yeah, that is the proper way to write Chan. Okay. Not this, not this. Okay. So, so Chan Buddhism is actually a Chinese term. Chan is Chinese term. So in Japanese is Zen, right? So Chan Buddhism actually is a type, is a sect of Mahayana practice. Okay? Same but different. Yeah. So no, it's actually it's not the same. No, it's really not the same. Mahayana is like a general term to describe the whole Buddhist Buddhist practice in the northern tradition, or you can say Chinese tradition. So in the old days, it's called northern tradition because why? The Buddhist teachings spread north to China, to those areas, yeah? And then spread south to Burma, Sri Lanka. So in the old days, or even nowadays, normally I like to address it as the northern tradition or southern tradition, rather than the Mahayana or Theravadan. Because Maha means big. But there is no big or small. Right? So a lot of people say that, oh, Mahayana is big vehicle, or greater, right? Because big. And Theravadan is small vehicle. Now, I think whether it's big or small, it depends on one's volition, one's intention. So this is actually, this is one part of the Mahayana, or one part of the northern tradition of Buddhism. Okay, so it's developed in around the 6th century, and becomes very, very popular. Oh, I should not say popular, prosperous in the Song and the Tang dynasty in China. And then the Zen meditation, the Japanese one actually is originated from the Chan meditation. So this Chan oops, sorry, something wrong with me tonight. The fingers just like to play games. So this Chan Buddhism actually, you can say originated, well, during the Buddha's time, but yet it became prosperous in the 6th century. Why you would say that? Because Chan Buddhism emphasizes on silence, no words. Okay, and so during the Buddha's time, if you have read some of these stories about the Buddha, about the Buddha and Mahakassapa. So you know that story? Okay, you tell the story then. So Eva knows the story, so I will let Eva tell the story.
I hope I know the story.
Okay, Mahakassapa
Okay.
and the Buddha.
Mahakassapa and the Buddha. So the Buddha was in front of 1,250 bhikkhus. I don't know.
Oh, okay. A whole
Okay.
big group of
Big
people,
group.
yeah, monks
And
yeah.
he was teaching, and he lifted up a flower in the palm of his hand, and he could see Mahakassapa in the back of the group, and he knew that Mahakassapa understood what he was saying when he lifted up the flower without any words. That's what I remember.
Okay.
I don't know how
You're
close
missing quite a few crucial parts.
Okay.
I'll fill it in.
Please, thank you.
Okay. But you did a very good job. 80 marks, okay? So you all know Mahakassapa is actually was one of the great 10 great disciples of the Buddha, right? Gatsip Junze. So one day the Buddha was giving a teaching, and so everybody expected the Buddha to open his mouth to teach, right? But the Buddha was silent, completely silent. So it's a big congregation of few hundreds or maybe even thousands. So then they were thinking, all these congregation people think that, oh, the Buddha either was ill or he didn't want to teach. So they were so, in the head, in the mind, were making all the stories like we, making all the stories. Then the Buddha lift up a flower and just hold in his hand, and the flower just flow very like flow, not really flowing, but flows very graciously in his hand, just like this. And then everybody was thinking, what was the Buddha, symbolizing? What is he doing? Is he going to open his mouth talking about this flower? Or whatever, all these crazy stories going through everybody's mind. Then Mahakassapa, seeing the Buddha holding the flower, and Mahakassapa smiled graciously. You missed this part. Smiled so graciously and so content and beautifully. And the Buddha then acknowledged Mahakassapa insight by saying the following. He said, I possess the true Dhamma I, the marvelous mind of Nibbana, the true form of the formless, and the subtle Dhamma gate that does not rest on words or letters, but it's a special transmission outside of the scriptures. Isn't it beautiful? And this I entrust to Mahakassapa. So memorize this. Next time when you tell the story. Did you get this? So this is what the Buddha's words to the congregation. And so this is Ch'an. Okay? So words, there's no words. Transmission outside of the scriptures. No words can explain. Really, when you think of this, really, what about when we think about impermanence? We say, oh yeah, you see, this flower is changing. Like, can you really see this flower is changing? Unless you now, like nowadays we can use time lapse, we can use slow motion, but still, the really, really subtle changes you cannot pick up with the finest camera. So it's really outside of any words and scriptures. The teachings is so beautiful. So Are they the same thing or same but different? I think this is irrelevant. Okay, so I just explained the first part to you. Okay, so remember, do not belittle the Theravadan practice. A lot of people think that the practitioners of Theravadan tradition is only aiming for attaining arahat or attaining the fruits, and the Mahayana is aiming for Bodhisattva path. Now I remember what I'm missing, what I missed putting it down. So I wanted to share with you one story of my teacher, my Sifu. I remember when I first picked up this Vipassana meditation myself 20-some years ago. And a lot of my Sihings, a lot of my Dhamma brothers and sisters were telling me off about my practice. But at that time, because I was already here, so I had no teacher to follow. And so I thought, that would be a great practice for myself and also for Polam to really to practice and to in order to maybe in the future to help people to really adopt meditation. So I closed my ears. I closed my ears to stop listening to all these comments and accusations and whatever. And it so happened after a few months, I was in Hong Kong. I went back to Hong Kong to do some things, and I was staying at Polam, Hong Kong. And the day that I was leaving, so as I told you always, I will go and seek departure, right? Go and ask for departure from my teacher, and always ask for teachings before I leave. So I was kneeling there and paying a prostration to my Sifu. And after that, I knelt down and I said, I put my palms together. I said, Sifu, I am actually practicing this. It's Theravadan, obviously, it's Theravadan meditation. And at that time, there were Sihings around. There were my Dhamma brothers, Dhamma sister there. And you know what my Sifu said? As long as you are abiding by the precepts, the silas that the Buddha has actually, taught us, then you go ahead. He didn't say you go ahead. As long as you abide by the precepts. And I thought, I'm asking you about meditation. Then, of course, I don't, at that time I thought, okay, this is what my Sifu gave teachings to me. Then I accepted it. I actually took it in wholeheartedly. And then after I left, I thought, strange, my Sifu would tell me about precepts. Told me about precepts and precepts and precepts. Of course, I knew precepts. I know all along precepts are very important. And those are the foundations that we need to establish in. So then, that was okay. And then I think 2003 or 4. 2003 or 4. One of my good friends, who is also a nun, she lives in Seattle. She specially drove all the way up from Seattle to give me a book that her mother's monastery in Taiwan published. And then I said, wow, what a surprise that you come and visit me. I said to her, she said, no, I came on a purpose. I said, oh, what's the big thing? So she handed me this book, and she already have a paper clip there, and she marked that page, particular page. She flipped it open, and she said, "Sister Jessie, read this, please." So I read it, and it was actually a teaching that was given by my teacher when he was very ill. But there was a bhikkhuni camp, the bhikkhuni precepts retreat for 3 months happening in Hong Kong at that time. And then the main preceptor, who is a very, very senior nun in Taiwan, went to the hospital to visit my teacher, my sifu, and invited him, if he is able, to go and give a teaching to all the bhikkhunis in the retreat, in the summer retreat in Hong Kong. And my teacher did go with all these oxygen and feeding tube, everything. He went. He went to give a teaching, and they recorded it, and they transcribed it into an article. And you know what? At the end of the teaching, he said, that was the essence of the whole article. You know what I'm talking about? You have heard that before. You knew, right? So he said, let precepts be your teacher. You remember? Yeah? Practice the Satipatthana and walk the Bodhisattva path. Yi戒為師，修四念住，行菩薩道. Wow, I read that, my tears started rolling down my face. Because why? My sifu publicly acknowledged, and not just acknowledged, approved my practice. And at that time, it dawned on me why he did not say anything when I asked for departure, when I asked for teaching. Because he was a Chan master. And he knew that my seeings, they did not see what he saw in my practice. And if he would say anything, it would probably stir up their pots. Not his pot, but their pots. Right? So he found this way to publicly acknowledge and approve that practice. But he strengthened it with the last teaching, walk the Bodhisattva path. It encompasses the Theravadan tradition. It encompasses the Mahayana tradition. It is the original teaching of the Buddha, the authentic original teaching of the Buddha. You see how wise your Sigong was? He was so wise. And I mean, that's why I'm forever grateful to him. Forever grateful. And so it actually reinforced my practices. And you know, the teachings have no difference. It's the intention. It's how much you vow to actually to practice, and how much you vow to help humanity. That's the difference, isn't it? That determines whether you are Mahayana or Theravadan. It's really not the teachings itself. The teachings itself is great anyway. Great Mahayana, the Buddha's teachings. Whether it's Theravadan or whether it's Mahayana, it's Maha. But your intention, it labels you as really, whether you are really walking on the Bodhisattva path or you just want to have this self-accomplishment. Okay? Great? Good? Do we have time for the third question? Yeah. Oh, third question. Who was Bodhidharma? Bodhidharma was a person. Bodhidharma was a person. And so there really wasn't very much recorded about Bodhidharma. So people were extrapolating about Bodhidharma. He could either be from Persia, or he could be from South India, or he could be from some other parts in the southern continent. Okay, so he was in China between 547 to 650 BC, CE. So CE, not BC, CE. So there was not really a lot of detailed record about Bodhidharma. He, sorry, excuse me. So he came to China during the Southern and the Northern dynasties at that time, and it was believed that he was teaching a very special transmission outside scriptures, so the Ch'an Buddhism. So that's how it actually started. So he was the first, you could say he was the founder of Ch'an Buddhism in China. So, and when he was in China at that time, that was the King Emperor Liang dynasty at that time. So the Emperor Liang, he was a very devoted practitioner. So he built a lot of temples, he offered a lot of Sangha dana, and so he did a lot of good deeds in supporting the propagation of the Buddhist teaching in his time. But when the Bodhidharma was there, so Emperor Liang actually went to pay respect to him and asked him. So I have been building many temples. I've been offering a lot of things to support the Sangha, and I have helped people to be able to listen to the teachings and everything. So what kind of merits do I get? So he asked Bodhidharma, and Bodhidharma said, "You don't have any merits. You did not have any merits at all." So he walked away from King Emperor Liang. So it was believed, it was said that a Bodhidharma went into a cave and sat in the cave facing the inside wall of the cave for 9 years until one very devoted to practice, the monk, came to ask him to teach him. Then he actually came out from his samadhi, meditation, jhana, or whatever. So he was some people actually describe Bodhidharma like a barbarian, a blue-eyed barbarian.
The artwork is like that.
Yeah, like furious, and bulging eyes and all that, right? You saw all those artwork that we had. Yeah. So because why? Because he wasn't Chinese. So he either could be Indian or Persian or whatever, So they have curly hair, maybe blue and green eyes, big eyes, deep eyes. So he was always depicted like that. So and then he has actually many stories about him, and he could use one stick of weed. Those weed that I asked you, what kind of weed that with like a lot of furs at the end?
Pampas grass or something.
Yeah, like beautiful, like long grass with a wire, low wire, yeah. And and there was story about him standing on one of the grass and travel across a big river. And it's possible. Why? Deep jhana. There is no physical. The physical could be like nothing. So Jesus walked on water. Why? I think he's in jhana. Why? Because no attachment to the physical body. So no weight at all. So that's why people say people can levitate. It's possible. So, why am I?
Yes, I call it pampas grass.
Pamper?
P-A-M-P-A-S, pampas grass.
Pampas grass. Oh, yeah. I love it. Yeah, Yang Sifu loves that. Yeah, I love that too. Pampas. We are going to grow some pampas grass, and let us all try to stand on the pampas grass and see whether we can travel across a puddle of water. Okay, so it's good for Bodhidharma. There are many stories about him, but yeah.
I heard that, or I read somewhere that he was attributed to founding the Shaolin monks.
No. Oh, the cave is in Shaolin, yes. In where the Shaolin built the Shaolin temple around his cave.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he didn't found that. No. Actually, from him there are actually 6 teachers following that tradition. The last teacher was Huineng. Huineng, that means the platform sutra was taught by Huineng, and then there it stopped, and then it divided into a few different branches. So sometimes things online you cannot trust. Yeah. Okay. So what is the 4th question? It could be long. Oh, the 4th question, scratching your head. During ceremonies, you unfold a black cloth with red sessions on it and place it on your kneeling cushion. Then fold it up when it's over. What does this represent? 譚師傅你入去我攞個句啊嚇，我唔知你知唔知喺邊度。So, because I'm showing this one because this one looks different than the one that I'm going to show you. So that piece of cloth, there's a special name for it. It's called nisidana. Nisidana, N-I-S-I-D-A-N-A, 離師壇. 離師壇, Okay, so nisidana is called, or we can call it 坐具, or 離師壇, huh? So what does nisidana means? From you can there are actually quite a few usage for this. So the first, this is the cloth, right? This is the cloth that you and when it opens up, it's just like that, but that one is brown and mine is blue and black and red, right? So, and there is it's actually a special measurements and particular measurements, So this is blue and black because this is sort of like the very old Chinese tradition, but nowadays they actually use brown and gray. A lot of them are used just plain brown too, or different shades of brown. So when in the old days, what did they use this nisidana for? this first is for like a piece of cloth. When we are cold, we wrap it around us. Or we use it to sit on. Or we use it to sleep on. Or we use it to wrap our clothes, our robes. Okay? But somehow, somewhere, when the Buddha's teachings came into China, did not know when, there was no recorded literature, people started using it in chanting for the abbots, sometimes for the nuns too, to actually put it on the mats. But I guess why? I guess because sometimes, especially for example, when we go to some places where no mats are being provided, or the place is really rough and not very clean, so we can actually spread this to protect the ropes. So, and then I think it sort of like evolved to become a ritual and rites. But there is actually quite a few meanings to nisidana, and actually quite interesting. Okay, so I don't know. You know my translation, right? So I translated the Chinese into English. So within the boundaries of this nisidana, 長養心苗性, the seedlings of the mind grows. And 展開燈性地, open it and practice. Open it and practice. That means open this. When you open this, that means you are really like meditating or prostration. But mainly they talk about meditation. To arrive at the destination. That destination is not going to Chilliwack. No. It's attainment, enlightenment. Okay? And then up and 奉持如來命, that means when we open this, I'm going to actually okay, let me go back. So within the boundaries of this nisidana, this is just like the boundaries of our property. Okay, we have 5 acres and then four corners that make the boundary. But this is symbolic. This boundary is symbolic. Symbolic of what? That means within this boundary, we practice, and hopefully all the obstacles that will hinder us on the advancement of practice will not be here. So you're protected within these boundaries. That's why in monasteries, for example, in a nunnery, we set boundary like 4 corners. So within these 4 corners, at night, no men are allowed to stay here. If the man is staying inside, then within this boundary, then we are breaking our precepts. But that boundary, we can change it by doing a sort of not a rite, but announcement. So, for example, when I go to for example, when I go to hotels to stay when I travel, so I set the boundary in my hotel room. This is my nisidana. So even if a man is sleeping in the next room to me, I'm not breaking my precepts because I set my boundary. This is my nisidana. That means this is my residence, my nunnery here. You see, so that is kind of a leeway to help us to travel, right, and help us to upkeep the precepts. So So within that boundary that we are being protected, and within that boundary, what do? The seedlings of the mind grows. Because within that boundary, you sit there, you meditate, you prostrate, you read sutra. And that allows you to what? To mature on the path of seeking the Dhamma. So, and then it says, open it and practice to arrive at the destination. And this destination, as I said, it could be as just a destination of becoming a monastic, because only monastics who have been fully ordained have this and can use this. Shramanera or novices, they don't have this. Only fully ordained monastic have this. So it means when you have this, that means you are fully ordained. So then when you as like a primary school, like a secondary school, like a university student, so practices are different, and the advancement is different, and the fruits that you attain will be different, right? So it's different kind of fruits. So because of that kind of fruits, after full ordination, you practice and you walking towards a certain path, and you will reap a certain kind of fruits. And then these fruits are what? Are fruits of attainment. Like you're going towards the four fruits, the Sotapanna, the Anagami, and Arahat, and these fruits. So that is two steps two ways to look at this destination thing. And then abide and practice the Buddhist words. So when we open up this and practice this, we always keep close to our heart is what? We genuinely and respectfully take the teachings of the Buddha close to our heart, and we abide by it, and we practice it, because this is what the Buddha told us to do. Okay, and this is what he has told us and what he has taught. So we need to practice it according to what he has taught us, what he has told us, and with that, the first base is sila, and then advancing is samadhi, or sila and samadhi going hand in hand, practicing it hand in hand. And then whether you become wiser or not, it depends, right? So this is the real abiding. Okay? Good? All right. So I think I need to leave the next two questions to next time then. Yeah. I think I need, sorry, I can't finish. I think I need to leave the next questions to next time. Okay? All right. Anything else? Any questions about tonight? Any questions from the audience over Zoom, over Facebook? No? Versha, yes, please.
Sifu, thank you. I just wondered if you could remind me, because I missed that, when you talked about what your teacher taught you. The first thing he said is let your precepts be your lead teacher. And the last thing he said is follow the Bodhisattva path. What was the middle thing he said?
Practice the Satipatthana.
Thank you.
Yeah. And walk the Bodhisattva path. Practice the Satipatthana and walk the the Bodhisattva path. So you see, sila, right? Let precept be a teacher, sila. Practice the satipatthana, that means the cultivation of samadhi and wisdom. And then use your life to benefit humanity. That's the Bodhisattva path, right? So I think that is the most powerful teachings. I mean, my teachers have many powerful teachings, but I think this is the most powerful, and this is the strongest teaching. I will never forget. Yeah. So I think I am very lucky to have my friend from Seattle. She was the editor of that magazine. Yeah, 見大法師香港莊嚴. Yeah. So and she used to be the editor of that magazine, and so she remember, I was struggling because my teacher didn't give me any answer, and she tried to reassure me, and I said I'm okay, but I'll keep on practice. Don't worry, Venerable Jandi. I said don't worry, I'll keep on practicing. She said, don't worry, I'm sure your Sifu approves you. I said it doesn't matter. I know this is a great teaching. I know I'm going down the right path. Don't worry. But she knew that I was struggling because there were difficulties, there were challenges, right? And but it's a good thing that I live in Chilliwack, right? It's too far to hear all the rumors. So I can close my ears and can close my eyes, and I don't see rumors and I don't hear rumors. It's great. So, but this was so reassuring and so grounding and so powerful. I tell you, this teaching actually helped me to strive through many, many, many difficulties that I have encountered through the years. So, okay? All right, good. Susanna has her hand up? Oh, sure. Yes. Susanna?
I'd like to know what is Ch'an meditation, Xing.
Yes. Sim, yeah, Sim Zhong, yeah. Okay. All right. So she's just wanting me to confirm the Chinese name of Ch'an Buddhism. Okay. All right. Sorry, a couple of your questions still not answered. I will answer them next month. Okay. May these blessings extend to all, that we with all the other living beings together will attain the Buddha way. May we spread our warmth, brightness from our mind, from our body, the energies of metta, to all the people in Hong Kong. They're going through a very challenging fifth wave of the pandemic, and wish that they could strive through, even though with difficulties. May we stand behind them, support them with this loving kindness. And may this loving kindness touch all the people, including the high officials, including the ordinary civilians, including all the armies in Russia and Ukraine. May this war end as soon as possible. May those who have passed be reborn according to their wholesome karma in a bright place. For those who live on, may they be free of anger, ill will, animosity. May peace be with Ukraine and Russia.